Greetings, citizens of Instagram. Welcome. We are broadcasting live from Bocas del Toro, Panama. My name is Nicholas Correa. I'm the editor of the Bocas Breeze newspaper, and we have a very special program for you this evening. Joining soon is our very special guest, Mr. Ariel Pérez Price. He's the author of Memorias de Bocas Town, vida, tiempo de José Antonio Price. And this is Ariel. We're just waiting for him to connect. Lots of people are joining and waving. We got Casa Lectura in the house. They did a very wonderful presentation in Spanish, and we saw theirs, and we thought it would be fun to do something for our English-speaking readers of the Bocas Breeze. And we are so excited to have Ariel on this evening. You know, it's just crazy to think about 100 years ago that Bocas del Toro was this bustling international port with almost daily trips to New Orleans and Jamaica and Cuba. There are so many hidden gems that have kind of been left out of the Panamanian national. I think Ariel is connecting now. Without further ado, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Of course. It's my pleasure.
So, Ariel is he's a lawyer in Panama City. He works for the British Embassy. And he's the author of Memorias de Bocas Town, which is available on Amazon and in select bookstores in Panama City. And locally here in Bocas del Toro, when things open up, you can get it at Gran Hotel Bahia, Buena Vista Restaurant, and La Galeria Mar Iguana. And we just did a review from a book review, which is online. Our new friend, Dos Dunn, who's joining us. Make yourself known, Dos, if you're logged in. And it's a really great introduction to the English reader, the Spanish reader, and check out the review online. Hello, Nell. So anyway, we've got Ariel Pérez Price here, and now this book is just it reads like a novel, and all these characters emerge from the golden era of Bocas del Toro, and one of them is your grandfather, Dr. José Antonio Price. Tell us about Dr. Price, and tell us how you were inspired to do all this amazing research on his life and the history of Bocas Town.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Nick, for the opportunity to speak to your followers. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today, to be part of this event. The first one I do in English, actually, regarding my book. So yeah, who's Dr. Price? Well, I have to start saying that, just put it as a summary, he's a 19th century Panamanian who became the first Panamanian of African descent to become a physician, a surgeon. He studied in the U.S. At the beginning of the 20th century in two segregated universities in the South. He went to Shaw University in North Carolina, but also to University of West Tennessee in Memphis. He's also my granddad, as you mentioned. And if you ask about how everything started, my research came, I would say, as a curiosity. Every time we have a family gathering or any sort of event, this sort of mythological figure started arising and people started talking about him, but it was very few what was really known about him. When he died, my mom was 4 years old, and my older uncle was probably 12. So it was very little what we have as oral tradition. And there was a lot of speculations about who he really was. So I started this research process, and what I discovered really impressed me. It was something that I never imagined. I never thought that my granddad was such a relevant figure in the history of not only in Bocas, but also in the history of Panama. So I started the research. I started to find very interesting topics, events, episodes of the history of Bocas. And I thought that it was going to be a good idea to try to put it into writing. So the idea was to try to describe the journey of Dr. Price, his life, in the context of lost episodes of the history of Bocas del Toro, episodes that has been ignored by the official history of Panama, episodes that has been somehow overlooked by historians and those who has written our official history. So my idea was not only to recover the memory of Dr. Price, but the memory of Bocas del Toro, or as we call them, or they used to call them, Bocas Town. That's why that's the name of the book, Memorias de Bocas Town. It's an attempt to recover both the memory of my granddad, but also of Bocas del Toro.
That's right. Now, tell us about this Bocas Town that Dr. Price lived in. You know, what was Bocas del Toro, Bocas Town like 100 years ago?
Sure. I think we should start by saying that Bocas del Toro is different to the rest of the country in many ways. It's an isolated region, very close to Costa Rica and to the Caribbean. In that sense, the origins of the population of Bocas are different to those from the population of Panama. We have British settlers that established themselves in Bocas del Toro together with their slaves, and they mix with their slaves, producing a local community that called themselves Creoles or Criollos. So if we think about it, we're talking about a British sort of colonization rather than Spaniard. And this is very important because it basically defines not only the ethnic origins of the population, but also its cultural origins. So we're talking about a very unique sort of origin in terms of the population and its culture. Apart from that, we have we have to talk about many runaway slaves that escaped from their masters in islands in the Caribbean, such as the Corn Islands, San Andres, Providencia, and even Jamaica, that came to Bocas del Toro, established themselves, and they survived by getting involved in an industry that preceded the one of the banana cultivation or plantations for almost 100 years, and it's the fishing of the of the turtle, of the carey turtle. So the shell of the carey turtle was very has a great value. It was a luxury product. It was used to make luxury products. So it was an industry that was well paid and that developed together with agriculture in Bocas del Toro. So now
and this is before the bananas?
This is way before the banana plantations. We're talking about beginning of the 19th century, perhaps 1820, and the banana plantations, let's say, started at 1885. So we're talking about 70 something years, 60 something years before the plantation. And these people established themselves, and the Creole community started developing. They become like also very attached to the Methodist Church of England. And this is also very important because another feature that is totally different from the rest of the country, where Catholicism is the main religion. We're talking about a black population that didn't come during the build of the Panama Canal. They were here before. They were here before even the construction of the railway. So we're talking about like a very like original sort of migration at the beginning of the 20th century, together with a different faith. They were Methodists. They were not Catholics. So these guys basically were there at the beginning of everything, at the beginning of the agricultural boom. At the end of the 20th century, a German guy called Jürgen Hein started exporting bananas that were that he started exporting banana from Bocas to New Orleans and Mobile in Alabama. The plantations were located in Chiriquí Grande, in la Laguna de Chiriquí, but the main port of exports was in Bocas del Toro, in Bocas. So that was the first one who started what we said the international trade of bananas. But from then onwards, many companies arrived, amongst them McConnell's and Company, and of course the Snyder brothers, which also established their plantations in the Laguna de Chiriquí. That was way before the United Fruit Company, who basically acquired all these medium-sized companies and consolidated into a commercial emporium called the United Fruit Company, and that was established in 1899. The establishment of the United Fruit Company created massive opportunities and created great amount of migration into Bocas del Toro, especially from Europe. We have many Germans, French, Italians, British people. We also have, of course, the Americans with the company. But the core of the employees of the plantations, of course, were Afro-Caribbean people that flew from their islands when the sugar industry collapsed. Mm-hmm. Have like a core group of people from Martinique, from Jamaica, from Barbados, from Trinidad, who made Bocas their home, and they were the core labor force of the plantation. So you have this environment where you have a mix of Afro-Caribbeans, Europeans. We're talking about that at the beginning of the 20th century, 9 embassies or consulates has established offices in Isla Colón. We had the Norway consulate, the British one, the American, the French, the German, among others. Wow. Tell you that Boca since 1890 was an international port with daily connection to the south of the United States, but also to New York, to Jamaica, to Cuba, and to the ports in the south in Colombia. So these are steamships. Correct. You have like a regular transit of steamships. Just in 1897, there are some good stats that says that just in 1897, 300 transits between Bocas and New Orleans were registered. So I would say it's a history that is lost, but also tells a lot about the origins of the town and how in a period of 30 years it becomes an international port, a cosmopolitan place of a lot of interactions where a lot of things were happening due to the trade of banana and due to the transits of steamships across Bocas.
Very interesting. And, from this time period, which you call the Época Dorada, the golden age of Bocas del Toro, emerged a lot of characters, Bocatorreños, that go on to do some pretty extraordinary things. For example, Lewis Carl Russell, born in Carnero. Tell us about him.
Sure. So the influence of different cultures, the influence of people from Europe and also the Caribbean created a special environment that I would say cultivated special kind of people. Luis Carl Russell is a guy who was born in Carenero. Russell was the son of a Jamaican music teacher that was very close or worked for the Methodist Church of Bocas del Toro. So he came to train in morning schools kids from the Creole community in music, basically. And the mother of Russell was a Creole woman. Her last name was Mashur. And his granddad, Russell's granddad, was a captain of the United Fruit Company steamship company that was called the White Fleet. How does that happen? Well, as it's happened in the Panama Canal, where when the vessels arrive to the Panama Canal, they have to a pilot of the Panama Canal have to take control of the vessel in order to transit through the canal. The same happened in Bocas when the geography of Bocas del Toro's water is so intricate. There's so many reefs that you need to know where you are transiting. Otherwise, you can have an accident, a maritime accident. And in this opportunity, the United Fruit Company hired local people to make this transit, or to, let's say, at the beginning it started as an informal thing. It was just like local fisher local people just basically telling the captain, okay, just go here, go there. Afterwards, the first one who became a proper pilot was the granddad of Rosa. His name was Samuel Mashur. As he knew how to and write, he learned the details of how, to use the instruments of a vessel, and he started piloting these vessels. The thing is that he was in a special position as many other people from the Creole community that owned land where plantations were established. And these people sent their kids to study in the U.S. at the beginning of the 20th century. That was also the case of my granddad, Dr. Price. So his case is not a unique case. Many people, many children, many kids from the Creole community ended up in the south of the United States, where they can either finish their high school degrees, or they can basically do university degrees, because there were special or segregated universities. There were private institutions established specifically to train Afro Americans. And in this case, the Creole community took advantage of that opportunity. So the mother of Louis Carl Russell studied in Atlanta, Georgia, in a place called Spelman College, still exists.
And this is the late 1800s, the early 1900s. These kids from Bastimentos, from Caronero, from Isla Colon, they're traveling to Atlanta, to Tennessee, like your grandfather. It's incredible.
Exactly. So just in the academic year 900 to 901, you had like 14 girls from Bocas del Toro studying at Spelman. So the mom of Rose was not alone. But the interesting thing is that all this cosmopolitan environment and all this of vessels from New Orleans brought not only sailors, brought musicians into Bocas del Toro and Colon. And we have been able to allocate evidence that proves that musicians from New Orleans, from the red light district of New Orleans, um, play music in Colon, in the cabarets of Colon and Boca. So we are now saying that the jazz, as we know it, um, expanded from New Orleans not only to the cities of the north, as it is well known, to Chicago and New York, but also expanded to the Caribbean, some of the ports in the Caribbean, through these vessels. And Louis Carr received all this influence, and when he was a young kid, 15 years old, and he was already a multi-instrumentalist, like taught by his dad. Then he traveled to Cologne to pursue his high school degrees, and he began playing the cabarets in Cologne. In 1921, he went to New Orleans, where he became part of this first and second generation of musicians who created jazz. In 1924-25, Russell moved to Chicago, where he became part of the orchestra of Joe King Oliver, and then to New York, where he established one of the first big bands that history knows about. This was the missing link between the original music from New Orleans and the swing music that took over the north of the U.S. in the 30s and the 20s. So he's well known by historians of jazz as a pioneer, and as I said, he's from Bocas as well, so everyone should be proud of him.
Of course. Now, before you did your research on your grandfather, had you heard of Louis Russell?
Yes, indeed, I heard. I mean, Russell is a character, and let's say he's elusive in the sense that people has been trying to pin down his origins and how come a Panamanian suddenly arrived from New Orleans and suddenly become, part of this first generation of jazz musicians. That's always been the question, and the answer has been that he was in Cologne and he won a lottery ticket for $3,000, and that allowed him to travel. So they built all this narrative of this poor Panamanian who arrived due to his luck to New Orleans, and it's not like that. As I mentioned, he came from a well-established Creole family. His parents, or at least his mother, studied in the U.S. at the beginning of the 20th century. His uncles studied in Atlanta as well, and he was already connected with the south of the U.S. And due to the connectivity of Bocas with New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama, New York, I mean, he was a cosmopolitan guy. He knew what he wanted. He didn't arrive in New Orleans by a stroke of luck. He arrived in New Orleans because he knew something was being produced, was being created. And how he knew that? Because in the cabarets in Cologne City, you had piano players from the red light district from Storyville in New Orleans.
So he heard what it was like.
There was a connection between the red light districts and the nightlife of New Orleans and Boca.
Thank you for that. Now, can everyone hear us? I see some comments that the audio is good or it's not good. Is it working for everybody or it's just some people? I can hear you very good, Ariel.
Great.
Yeah, I hope everyone can hear this because it's very interesting. It's a treat if you can hear it. If you can't hear it, anyone who's watching, I suggest watching it on Instagram TV. We're gonna save this, of course. Now, in this book, like I said before, it reads like a narrative, like a novel. It reads like a novel. You interweave so many historical events other than the characters. For instance, Marcus Garvey visited Bocas del Toro about 100 years ago. I think next year is going to be the 100-year anniversary. Tell us about that. To me, that's very important.
Sure. Well, I mentioned at the beginning that the history or the whole journey of Dr. Price. I mean, I try to put it into the context of long episodes of the history of Bocas, and this is the case of one of those great episodes. We are talking about Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was the leader of the largest Black nationalist union or group in the U.S. He was from Jamaica, but he established this organization that was called the United Negro Improvement Association. It was established in Harlem in the U.S. In the middle of this context of Black Renaissance and the new Negro and all that kind of like narrative. And he became also the first Afro descendant to create or to establish a steamship line. And basically, the whole story behind the steamship line was that he said that the black people should be self-reliant economically, and that they should build their own economic. So this guy started like this steamship company that became a public company in the sense that people can acquire shares. And he started selling shares across the entire Caribbean Central America, even some places in South America and the U.S. And people oppress black people who were working on the plantation on conditions of almost semi-slavery. They saw Marcus Garvey sort of the idea or the leader that they should follow in order to liberate themselves. And they start buying tons of these shares on the of the Black Star Line of the seat of the company. So Marcus Garvey, as a leader, visited Bocas del Toro in 1921. We have been able to also identify the, the the houses where he basically stayed. We identify also the place where he spoke to the public in a huge rally of around 1,000 plantation workers, and his story has also lost in time, or has not been written properly. Let's put it like that. Like a proper research on the influence of Garvey in Panama has not been done, and it was so huge that I can tell you that by 1927 there were 32 different units of organization in Bocas alone, and around 4,000 members just in Bocas del Toro. So it was a big thing. It was a international political figure, also well known by history, and should be also, um, it should be also rescued in the context of the history of Bocas.
Absolutely. Now, have you found any Bocatoreños that bought a share on the Black Star Line and still have it?
I'm looking for them. As a matter of fact, that should be like the holy grail of Boca's history. If we can find a share of the Black Star Line, not in Bocas, but I heard that recently some shares were also
Limon.
Yeah, in Limon in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
The port of Bocas, some shares were found, and I think like definitely, more than the shares, I think like all these characters, all these episodes should be used as part of a cultural offer that should be part of the tourism offer of Bocas del Toro. There is so much history in Bocas that could be compiled in some sort of like guidelines or story or a museum or activities around the history of Bocas, a jazz festival honoring Louis Russell, perhaps, a museum with the history of Bocas, like Marcus Garvey Day, where he's remembered like a German day in honor of all those German merchants that helped establishing Bocas at the beginning of the century. Like the German community was very, very prominent in Bocas del Toro, and has a very like sad story as well. Like Germans arrived at the end of the 19th century. They established most of the commercial houses, and they were importing and exporting from Europe. And at the end, the First World arrived. The First World War arrived, and they were trapped here. And somehow, when the U.S. in 1917 their war to Germany, Panama became part of the conflict, supporting the U.S. and all the Germans, most of them with Panamanian teeth and Panamanian rifles. They got like captured, and they were sent to detention camps in the U.S. Some of them were able to come back. Some of them were not able to come back. But let's say 50% came back. They recovered their properties. They started again working in Bocas. One of the main cases is the case of Carl Fries. Let's say is probably the most prominent German merchant in Bocas del Toro. But then the Second World War arrived, and it was exactly the same case. And they were captured again, and most of them never returned. But still, we have people in Bocas with German last names. We still have their descendants working in Bocas del Toro, and I think like we should do something to remember like the German community in Bocas, and that should be a special sort of activity that the local organize every year, also to attract tourism and to basically record history and to teach history. So you have plenty of topics or themes that you can use part of this cultural offer in order to make Boca not only appealing in terms of nature and the party and everything else, but in terms of history.
Of course, I totally agree with you. Just one more reason to visit Bocas del Toro, and an important one. And so we have a question from Sir Steve a lot. Where can you buy the book? This is on Amazon, and I think Steve a lot is in the U.S. Amazon, and
this is the second edition. Is now available on Amazon and also Kindle. Of course, we can buy it online. I think that's the easiest way to acquire the book right now if you buy it on Kindle, because we can send it from here to Boca, but now all the supply chain is down, and also you can buy it in the bookstores here in Panama City. It's complicated to travel. There are some places in Bocas where you can also acquire it. Galeria Mar Iguana of my friend Raúl Holstein, but also you can buy it in Buena Vista and also in Hotel Bahia. But I guess those places are also closed because of the pandemic. So I'll say the easy way to get hold of the book now is through Kindle.
good, thank you. So one very important way to preserve Bocas del Toro's culture, and a lot of locals will agree, is the architecture. What could you say about the importance of Bocas Town's historic architecture?
Oh man, that's a topic that I really love to discuss. Talking about what is the identity of Bocas, and we have seen that since 15 years ago to today, there has been this movement that has really destroyed the architectural heritage of the province. What we had in Bocas was a mix of wooden architecture from the south of the U.S., from the Victorian Caribbean, from the British Caribbean, um, and also even from places as the south of Germany, because the German community also brought some of the culture. If you take a look at some of the pictures of the early 20th century, you will see these wooden houses with sort of features of cabins or of houses of the south of Germany. And some architects or some experts have told me like that's the source of those sort of features. So it was amazing, an amazing patrimony, and now we're losing it. It's getting lost. It's getting lost because the local government has not been able to enforce a regulation that deters non-relevant architecture to be built in Bocas del Toro. We see that there is basically no regulations in terms of what are the features of the architecture, what's the size of a building, the height of a building, and we're seeing a total disorder that has basically ruined the whole characteristic of Bocas as a wooden town. This is like not positive. Trust me, when tourists arrive to Bocas, they want to see something different. They don't want to see cement block without any sort of shape. 15, 20, 30 of them in the same street selling the same products, because that's the other issue. What we're having is not only an architectural problem, but we need strict regulations in terms of what sort of businesses are positive for the island, what sort of businesses will definitely suit the touristic vocation of Boca. You need a comprehensive touristic offer. We need to think about Calle Tercera, pedestrian street. We need to think about deterring more cars from being used in the island. We have to start thinking about more progressive things. We have to think about green energy for the island. We need to think about waste management for the island. We need to think about all sorts of technologies that can make Bocas a sustainable touristic destination. Architecture, the identity of the Caribbean architecture is the key component of the touristic offer of Boca. I'm aware that there is a regulation issue some 15, 20 years ago that declares Calle Tercera, Calle Cuarta, Calle Primera, and Calle Segunda um, area of conservation. Well, that regulation has not been enforced from any of the local government. But the
I think it even goes further. I think it even goes out to Saigon. If I'm correct, I don't know.
It goes on the North Avenue and goes up to Saigon. What I'm trying to say is that we definitely need a new regulation, a more comprehensive regulation that takes into account all these things that I just mentioned. And I think that's the task of the local government and of the community to try to foster or to push forward in order to achieve these objectives.
Very good. I know many people that agree with you, including me. I want to shout out to Eloisa Francis, who had a little difficult with the audio, but she got it working on her phone, and I hope she's enjoying the presentation. And I want to thank everyone that's joined us and everyone that will join us in the future and watch this on IGTV. If you guys have a question, send it in the comments and we can get to it. We have a question from Das Dunn, who recently read Memorias de Bocas Town and absolutely loved it. And he wrote us and we asked him to do a book review, and he did a very nice, comprehensive book review, which is available on our website. We just published this afternoon, bocasbreeze.com. His question is as follows, and this is Das Dunn. I've been involved in Panama for 7 years, Panama City, in the interior of the country. The experience has provided me two versions of the Panamanian identity. First is the traditional Panameño image with the sombrero pintado and the accordion. And the second one is of a cosmopolitan, modern, urban dweller in a very fast-paced city life. Where does the Caribbean Panamanian identity fit in, and why has the Caribbean been so ignored? He asks.
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, thanks to Mr. Doss for his review, and I think I really appreciate his comments on the book. And his question, I would say, look, it is like Panama tends to say that we are a cosmopolitan, diverse country, and as a matter of fact, we are. Nevertheless, this diversity is not well understood, and this diversity is not well accepted neither. The Caribbean people from Panama, from Bocas del Toro, from Colón and others have struggled for generations to try to provide input of its history, so it becomes part of the official history of the country. And that affects the identity, and it's a legacy of discrimination, it's a legacy of being overlooked. And these have to change. And I think a way to change it is by writing our own history, by people from Bocas del Toro writing their own memories, basically being outspoken about their history and trying to preserve their history. I think the Caribbean descent people are definitely an important part of what we call a Panameño, are part of the Panamanian identity, and it should be celebrated as such. I think lots of progress has been made. in order to achieve that objective. But still, there is a lot to do. But once again, we're talking about cultural offer and touristic offer. I think the Afro-Caribbean culture, the Afro-Caribbean food, the Afro-Caribbean history should be part of that history. The Afro-Caribbean music, jazz, uh, was created with influences from many different rhythms. Amongst them, uh, uh, rhythms associated with calypso, like mento and others. And this is part of that, melting pot that created jazz. And we have one of the pioneers of jazz who came from Bocas. So why not use this history as, the cornerstone for a festival where we can celebrate jazz or the contribution of the Panamanian Caribbean to jazz. That would be amazing. But we need to get it right. We need to do something that honors Russell and his family, because they're family from Russell and Boca.
Absolutely. And there's a descendant of Louis Russell that is active musician in the U.S., correct?
That's
her name?
That's correct.
Catherine
Russell, yes. Great singer, great jazz singer, honoring the memory of his beloved dad. He has, continued the legacy of the Russell family in a great way. Had the privilege to meet Catherine and her husband Paul, a great person, very focused on preserving the memory of Louis. And I hope we can, to the local government, to the tourism authority or others, get involved in any sort of activity that we deliver in Bocas.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Now, I watched your last presentation with Panama Vieja Escuela, which was very good, by the way. And you mentioned during that one that the history seems to be repeating itself, that the banana boom of the early 1900s and is the tourist boom of now, and that you can, what kind of parallels can you draw from that, or why is history repeating itself?
Yeah, there are many parallels. That's correct. I mean, the reason why this golden age of Boca, of this powerful cosmopolitan cluster of trade, got to an end, the reason behind it is that Bocas was only focused in one product, the banana. When a disease arrived to the coast of Bocas that was called the Panama, killing the plantations across decades. At the end of the 1930s, Bocas was a ghost town because there was no more banana to export. It took 25 years to find sort of a new kind of seed that was resistant to this plague. So we had at the beginning of the 20th century an influx of a migration of people from all over the world, creating a melting pot of people. I mentioned before, you talk to people in Bocas, and you will hear people with French last names, with German last names, of course with British last names, and that's just a testimony of the migration and the melting pot that Bocas became at the beginning of the 20th century. So in 1995, there is a song of Senor Loop called Bocas Town, and I mentioned this at the beginning, 1995, when the first tour arrived. And it's true, like more or less around that time, tourism started to become something in Bocas. So that's the new industry, tourism. Question is, are we going to destroy it by not paying attention to our architecture, by not paying attention to our history, our culture, our background? I mean, those things are very important. And what is worse, like, I really don't agree with people who think that the new influx or wave of foreign are responsible for, I don't know, disrupting the life of what was before. I think it's exactly the same cycle. Bocas is a place that was made by immigrants. As Panama, we are a country of immigrants. So we should not have that sort of like feelings or thoughts about foreigners. We should embrace migrations, of course, fulfilling regulations that don't here and anywhere else. I think like it's the Bocadoreño, the one with the political authority, the one who can enforce the regulation. So architecture is respected, so land ownership is respected, so basically everything is respected, and we can live in a civilized place that has lots of potential in terms of tourism, of like everything.
Very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. And what you touched on this a little bit before, but what opportunities do you see for Bocachareños to revive their history, and how can the community and the tourism industry be a part of that?
Yeah, well, as I said, I think there are key activities that could be launched. I think like people in Boca should organize and should talk to the authorities. I think one key one is like why Panama has a jazz festival, Panama City has a jazz festival. Why we cannot have an annual jazz festival honoring the memory of Luis Russell, and it could be a jazz Caribbean rhythms music. So you can have also calypso, you can have also reggae, you can have a lot of things. But also like preserving the memory of Russell. You can teach the local music band the music of Russell. You can have like 4, 5, 6 different venues with live music during a month period where you celebrate. You can celebrate like the Russell Appreciation Week, the Russell Appreciation Month. I don't know, and by that way you can basically attract people to Bocas del Toro. People can go there, can enjoy live music, can learn about this pioneer of jazz, but can also learn something about the culture. Why Bocas has a pioneer of jazz? Well, of course, it was connectivity with New Orleans. We were the sister port of New Orleans. Why we bring like I don't know New Orleans jazz band that can collaborate with a local jazz band or a local band of music? I mean, those kind of ideas. I mean, I'm not a tourism expert or a cultural expert. I'm just like talking out of common sense because there's so much potential on history of Bocas, and then a proper museum for Bocas. I know Luis Mo and Julio Mo has been struggling for years to try to build a museum of the Bocadoreño in Isla Colón. I think a fantastic opportunity to broadcast the culture and history of Bocas, and it has to be well done. And I think that's another part. Like you can go to the island, you can go to the beach, you can go partying, you can have a I would say a good offer in terms of food, Afro-Caribbean food or local food, and then you can have culture. That's key. I think Bocas can definitely take advantage of those aspects.
I think you're 100% right. And in my experience doing a little traveling, that's one thing I personally look for in any place I would travel to. I want to know what their culture is all about.
Also about it's true. Someone writing about cacao. Like some people from a cacao organization, they contacted me. They want to do a festival of cacao. Those sort of initiatives, like cacao, is also a traditional product of exportation from Bocas. Like the time where bananas were dead due to the plantation, due to the disease. Cacao took a proper role. So that's also something that can be done. And again, I think like it's just like trying to push a bit for the community to embrace or be empowered to defend their culture and basically promote and celebrate their culture.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned Lewis Russell. I think after people read Memorias de Bocas Town, they're just gonna wonder what's coming next. Do you have anything cooking up? Anything? Another book?
Well, yes, I'm in the process of writing my second book. It's going to be, as you mentioned, the story of Lewis Carl Russell, a biography, the same sort of like format of my first book, of Memorias de Bocas Town. The idea will be to produce something that could be enjoyed, that could be, people can learn from the life of Russell, this fantastic life, the one of Dr. Price, people who has been, as you said, non-visible to others and to history. So that's my second project. I would say I'm 70% there. So let's see what happens. And let's see, right? So.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it. But in the meantime, the book is Memorias de Bocas Town, La vida y tiempo de José Antonio Price. And I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been an honor to have you on this program, Mr. Price. And we look forward to hearing more of your writing and more of your projects of rescuing the history of Bocas del Toro.
Thank you, Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure, as I said, to be part of your life. Just like I hope to be able to travel to soon. And as you said, I hope we can keep collaborating in further projects. And yeah, keep me posted about anything. Thank you very much.
All right, my pleasure. Take care, and thanks for everyone who joined us and sent all those hearts and those comments. And we're glad the audio worked out for Francis there.
Thank
and
you.
anyone who had trouble with this can see this on IGTV. All right, everyone, have a great night.
Bye.